I'm Roberta Cardew, and I'm here to share with you some very special recipes. Recipes that are near and dear to my heart, and I have developed them in Spain, where I spend a lot of my time. They are also included in a book I've written called From Spain with Love. It tells a lot of things besides recipes, but the recipes seem to be everyone's favorite. This recipe is for a tomato tart. Of course, tomatoes is one of the nicest things that come out of Spain, and it is the perfect summer recipe to use up vine-ripened tomatoes. Okay, we're in from the out of doors, cooking in the kitchen, which I love and adore, and also we're doing a recipe which I love and adore. It's a tarte tomate, which is probably a French recipe, but it's cooked all over the Mediterranean. We're using two of the most predominant ingredients, which are ripe tomatoes and lots of garlic. It's in the book, From Spain with Love, which is all about quilts and food, page 39. Okay, we'll get started. We have using a puff pastry base, and I'm going to put together the bottom seasoning, which is, I really like the Grey Poupon mustard and creme fraiche. Very difficult to get that in some parts of America, like Arkansas, where I live. So I often use just a nice thick cream, which I'll do today. So while I'm mixing this up, Molly's going to tend to the tomatoes. We've sliced them already and laid them on paper towel so that they will drain a bit. Otherwise, it could be possible, not totally certain, but it could be possible that your crust is going to be soggy. So this is just a little preventive measure there.
As you've already heard, we have sliced our tomato. There's probably the smaller ones, anywhere between 10 and a dozen of them, and then a couple bigger ones so that we have a nice base layer. We have put them on paper towels. Do that, because it is possible, as she said, the juices from the tomato will make the base of your tart soggy, and you don't want this to happen. Something else we can do which will help is we'll just salt the tomatoes lightly. This will prevent you from having to salt it again, and it will help draw the moisture out of the tomatoes to just reinforce that you will have a nice crisp tart. And let's have a look here. Like I said, we've got some nice fresh sea salt here. We're just spreading it all over. And these tomatoes are beautiful, just bought from the local market. They're nice and ripe. That's one thing about shopping in Spain. If you go to your local market, you need to use the produce almost immediately because everything is perfect. It's ripe, it's soft, it's tender, and it's full of flavor, which is what we're looking for. Now we've also diced just a few garlic cloves. They don't need to be big because you're going to cook them into the tart, so if you have a garlic press, you could use that. If not, just give them a good chop. Just small size. It doesn't need to be all regular, but nice small chunks there. And you'll see Mom has actually done the mustard and cream base, which is there. Now what we need to do from there is we have to think of this as layers. And there's no real wrong way to do it. The best thing is just make sure that you have all the ingredients in there one way or another. We do have a store of dried basil and thyme. So what we're going to do...
We're using the dried because they have a much more intense flavor than fresh. We'll put some fresh thyme at the top because it's so pretty to look at. But as you build your tart, in the body of it, please, you'll have a better result if you use dried herbs.
How's that?
That's great, sweetheart.
That look good?
Now some thyme.
We've got thyme in there. I'll put a little bit more just to make sure. There we go.
Now some garlic.
Okay.
Most of the garlic goes on the bottom. And I know that looks like a lot of garlic. It is. Actually, it's at least six cloves. But you won't taste it as garlic per se at the end of the day because it will leave a little bit.
For the layers, no problem.
You won't taste it because you probably know as garlic cooks, it infuses the most delicious flavor into your cooking, but it leaves the garlic zap behind.
Now, do we do a nice layer of tomatoes at this point? Do you want
Let's
some
use-
olive oil, or what would you like
No.
at this point?
Start with the larger tomatoes.
Okay.
Because our little ones are redder.
You start in the middle and work your way out?
Yes, either way. You can start at the edge and work your way in, or just whatever mood you're in that day, ladies or gentlemen.
Okay, we got a nice
Okay.
first layer there.
Let's sprinkle this a little bit with olive oil now. You don't need to dump it in, but
Go.
sprinkle a bit over it. Okie dokie.
There we go. More thyme and basil?
Maybe just a little bit.
Okay. Go. Another layer, some garlic at this point, or do you like to?
Yes, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever moves you at the moment. So
There we go. I'm going to start from the
Wonderful.
outside this time, just because the tomatoes are smaller, and we'll work our way in. There we go.
the quilt that goes with this recipe, or rather this recipe goes with a quilt that's all done in reds and oranges and yellows, and it's called the Colors of Spain, because that truly, it seems that there's so much red and orange and yellow in this country, like in the posters that advertise the bullfight. The bull's eyes are always red. Also, all the little flags that go across the streets in all the villages hung, like you see in car dealerships in America. Here they're to advertise a fiesta of some sort, which they abound, lots of fiestas all the time, but the flags are always red and yellow. It's just everywhere, as well as tomatoes and garlic.
Now something else we forgot to tell you at the very beginning, you need to have your oven preheated to about 375.
And we used store-bought puff pastry, which actually I always used. A few years ago, tried consistently to make puff pastry, and it was so difficult for me, and I never had good results. And someone told me, you can buy this in the freezer department at any superstore, which now I do with wonderful results, even in Spain.
Now, we've got the tomatoes arranged on the tart. Ours were very ripe, so it was just basically making sure that every surface is covered, but you can do a lovely design. If you have something that you can slice the tomatoes real thin, you can do a lovely swirl design. All sorts of possibilities with this dish.
And you can put as many layers of tomatoes as you like, but this is about how we like it. Now I finish it off with a bit more olive oil.
Okay.
And you don't have to salt anymore, because you have salted your tomatoes already to help drain the moisture from them. But if you remember from earlier, we have our basket of herbs that Molly knows so nicely, went out in the fields and picked. And I think we'll lay a little bit of, see if you can get some fresh thyme on top of there, and some sprigs.
Here's some fresh thyme right here. And we'll just sprig it and
Like
make
I
it
said,
look
it's
pretty.
not so much for the taste, it's for the looks.
Yeah. And then what do we do with the egg?
This is an egg wash, which I simply use the whole egg. You can add water, I don't, but you need to brush the whole outside of your pastry, and that gives it a lovely golden color.
And how long are we going to cook this for? And I'm sure everybody out there knows their oven is different from the next, so we'll give you a guideline, of course.
Okay. It says, top with fresh thyme for a great show. Bake in a preheated oven, 375 degrees Fahrenheit, for 40 minutes, or until the crust is nicely browned and tomatoes have begun to char.
There we go.
Cool it slightly before serving, or it'll fall apart. I'm not saying, I mean, it's very good when it's cold, but it's better when it's warm,
It's
but
lovely.
not hot. Okay, ladies, we'll have put it in the oven now, and we'll let you have a look when we pull it out.
And 40 minutes, give or take. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your final product of the tomato tart. As you can see, the puff pastry is a nice golden color, and the top of the tomatoes are just starting to go brown and just real softly finished there. So, slice that up, share it around, and enjoy.